You're watching UATV News. My name is Inna Kosinska. Good evening. The debate at the 76th session of the UN General Assembly on the situation in the territories uncontrolled by Ukraine should be full-fledged. Such an appeal to chairman of the organization was made by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. The head of state has already held a number of important meetings and raised the issue of Russian aggression against Ukraine. My colleagues know more details from New York.
The General Assembly is the main consultative body of the United Nations. It includes representatives of all members of the organization, with each having one vote. In 1946, the General Assembly consisted of 51 states, now 193. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky was also present at the opening of the 76th session.
What is my mood? Great, I'm going to work for the sake of our state.
Besides, the President held bilateral meetings with the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. During the meeting, Turkey's assistance in the release of persons illegally detained by Russia was discussed, in particular of the Crimean Tatars, as well as the humanitarian situation in the occupied peninsula. Before the dialogue, Turkish President said that Ankara does not recognize the illegal occupation of Crimea by Russia.
We consider it important to preserve the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, including the territory of Crimea, the annexation of which we do not recognize. We need to make more efforts to protect the rights of the Crimean Tatars.
During the meeting with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, Volodymyr Zelensky presented a list of almost 450 Ukrainians who are being held captive in the territories temporarily uncontrolled by Kyiv and in the Russian Federation. He asked Antonio Guterres to assist in their release and called on the UN to support the Crimean platform. Also, at a meeting with the newly elected chairman of the UN General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, the president of Ukraine stressed that preventing Russian militarization of the occupied Crimea and protecting human rights on the peninsula should be a priority at the current session. After the meeting, Zelensky visited the Ukrainian Institute of America.
I was driving through New York yesterday, and I want to tell you that our roads are better than in the United States. I'm not happy about this. You live here while we are only visitors here. You are Ukrainians, you are not only citizens of Ukraine, but citizens of our history. And I think that you are our best ambassadors, because it's impossible to defend our state, our statehood, our sovereignty, our territorial integrity abroad without understanding and having no Ukrainian blood in veins.
Many representatives of the Ukrainian diaspora came to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky.
We love you and we know you well.
Wednesday will be the culmination of the Ukrainian leader's visit to the United States. The president is going to make a statement regarding the Crimean platform and the need of international support and strengthening of solidarity towards Ukraine, our territorial integrity, and the return of the temporarily occupied territories under the control of Kyiv. The work on President's speech continues, taking into account what we have heard. The latest corrections are made because it will be a speech not only about Ukraine, about what hurts us, but about global issues that need answers. But most important are bilateral meetings that the President holds in New York.
The 76th session of the UN General Assembly is dedicated to countering the coronavirus pandemic, as well as preserving the environment. Our correspondents are following all the events in New York. Reported by Vadim Kramer, Natalia Gajewska and Oleksiy Matsuka, UATV News.
Lithuanian President Gitanas Nauseda called on UN representatives to strengthen the policy of non-recognition of the occupation of Crimea by Russia. Russia's actions violate international law, the Charter of the United Nations, as well as the provisions of the Helsinki Final Act, the Lithuanian leader noted. He stated this during a speech at a meeting of the UN General Assembly. Nauseda stressed the importance of protecting the rights and freedoms of the civilian population of the occupied peninsula. In turn, President of Latvia also called on the international community to support Ukraine.
Latvia sees Russia's military intimidation campaign against Ukraine continues. This confirms the need for international community to support Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Latvia sees the newly established International Crimean Platform as a valuable format for keeping the issue of Crimean deoccupation on the international agenda. We call for the widest possible engagement of the international community in the Crimean Platform.
An attempted murder. The National Police of Ukraine qualified the attack on the car of Serhiy Shefir, first assistant to the President of Ukraine. In the morning, the unknown persons fired at a car from a machine gun in the suburbs of Kyiv. Shefir was not injured, but his driver was taken to hospital with 3 gunshot wounds. The National Police have announced a special operation and are looking for the perpetrators. Some connect the accident with the official's position on oligarchs.
It is a specific case of a terrorist act, because if you look at the events where they were shooting from, the number of automatic shots, we can say that it was a planned action which had a goal to intimidate the team, to create the impression that the situation in the country is uncontrolled.
President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky has already promised to respond to the assassination attempt on his assistant.
After my speech at the UN General Assembly, I'm leaving for Kyiv. For now, to be honest, I don't know who stands behind this. What are those forces, internal or external? However, I won't call it forces. It is an evidence of weakness to send me greetings with shots from the forest at my friend's car. The answer will be immediate. That does not affect the strength of our team. The course that I have chosen with my team, the course towards changes, towards taking our economy away from shadow, towards the fight against criminals, influential and financial groups, all of this is not affected in any way.
Searching for missing children in Ukraine will become easier. The National Police, together with Facebook, are launching an alert system, the Amber Alert. If a child is missing, Facebook will instantly spread information to users exactly where a kid was last seen. These alerts will include photo of a missing child. Social network users will also be able to share all information with friends on the platform. Ukraine has become the 25th country in the world where Facebook launches the system of a kind. The first lung transplantation and heart transplantation for a child were done in Ukraine. The operations were performed by Ukrainian and Polish doctors in Lviv. The donor was a 54-year-old man whose relatives allowed doctors to take his organs. The lungs were transplanted to a 56-year-old resident of Lviv who, due to illness, could not live without oxygen for 10 years. And the heart was transplanted to a 13-year-old boy who had a stroke 2 months ago and needed an urgent surgery. In addition, 4 more donor organs were received by other patients.
The operation was successful. You were transplanted a good heart. So now you will run, jump, you will no longer lay on a bed. You have the heart of a man.
Starting September 23rd, a yellow level of epidemic danger is introduced throughout the entire territory of Ukraine. This decision was made by the State Commission of Technogenic and Environmental Safety and Emergencies. What are the new restrictions and rules, and which privilege will the vaccinated citizens have? My colleagues found out.
New level of epidemic danger and new rules. Starting from midnight on September 23rd, the whole country enters the yellow epidemic zone. This means that schools, kindergartens and universities will be allowed to work if 80% of teachers and employees have yellow or green COVID certificates. That is, they got at least 1 jab. Besides, no more than 4 people are allowed at a table in a cafe or restaurant, while the distance between tables should be at least 1.5 meters. Cinemas, theaters and other cultural institutions will return to the operating mode with 50% of seats full. Gyms and fitness centers will work with occupancy of 1 person per 10 square meters of area.
We use the experience of European countries and international partners around the world. It shows that it is possible to ease certain restrictions for the vaccinated population, because the most vulnerable is the unvaccinated part. 82% of deaths from COVID-19 are among the elderly, and more than 90% of deaths are registered among the unvaccinated.
Tightening of quarantine right now correlates to rapid cases rise in the country. Over the past week, the number of new cases has grown by almost 70%. For example, as of Wednesday, almost 6,800 new cases were registered in Ukraine. More people are getting hospitalized, and almost all of them were not vaccinated.
We see that even in the countries with good vaccination rate, given the necessary protective measures are not followed, people still get infected. But they have mild symptoms, and there is no such threat to their lives, and healthcare systems are not overloaded.
And the number of those who are getting vaccinated not to end up in hospital with coronavirus is growing faster than the number of new infections.
Despite the fact that today is a weekday, there are many people who want to be immunized at the vaccination center. Medics say the workload has almost doubled over the past week. At the same time, there are enough vaccines for everyone.
Now there are such vaccines as Coronavac, Pfizer, AstraZeneca in the vaccination center. One can choose any and get a jab free of charge.
Here one can meet people of different ages. All of them are sure that getting vaccinated is vital.
Why am I here? I want to live.
Traveling becomes more convenient and I just don't want to get the virus. Basically, the biggest problem is travel because after you cross the border, you have to be quarantined. Instead, being vaccinated is more comfortable. It is the only defense from virus to my mind, so I think everybody has to be vaccinated.
If you are vaccinated, you can go to the cinema or restaurant. There will be no restrictions for institutions where 80% of staff and 100% of visitors are vaccinated. Or everyone must have a negative PCR test, done no later than 72 hours in advance. As for the public transport, the rules will remain unchanged. Masks and social distance of 1.5 meters is a must. Reported by Vadim Kromer and Larissa Zubenko, UATV News.
An English-language version of a single expert web portal based on the Diia-Business mobile application was launched in Ukraine. This will help integrate Ukrainian business into international business, as well as improve the economy of the country. Thanks for the English version, potential partners will be able to find out what is the situation in Ukrainian business segment. The platform is also set to allow establishing bilateral cooperation between Ukrainian companies and their potential foreign partners. These are new doors that are opening for Ukrainian exporters and, in fact, for business from other countries, from all over the world, including Europe. Since this is an opportunity for finding new clients, new partnerships, acquaintances, partners, and all this together will make a positive impact. This portal is available in 2 languages, namely Ukrainian and a global version in English.
The international version of the export portal will allow Ukrainian companies to become visible in the international arena. With the help of this platform, potential importers, buyers from abroad will be able to easily verify Ukrainian companies, study the profile of Ukrainian companies and establish cooperation.
That's all for now. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. See you tomorrow on the UATV channel. Goodbye.